Hi, today I'm going to do a really short tutorial on how to make a case for your glasses. This is my husband's, and as you can see, it's a little bit grotty. And if you, like me, don't know what to get your partner as a little Valentine's gift, which is just in a few days' time, then this could be an ideal little make for you. I was saying this morning to my husband that it's a given that men get women flowers, but what does a woman get their man in their life? Which is always a bit of a head scratcher for me. But I just saw this in the car door, and I thought, I can do something with that. I'm going to make him a case. So we're going to make a little case for glasses, which shouldn't take long at all. I'm going to have a go at making a very basic pattern myself, and I'll share that little make with you as we go along. So if that sounds interesting to you, please stay with me. Do consider giving me a like and a subscribe, and if you've got any questions, then do pop them in the comments below and I'll be sure to get back to you. But in the meantime, let's get started. So the things that I know I'm going to need, well, of course, I'm going to need the case that it already comes from, or at least the glasses, so I know a little bit about the measurements. I need a piece of A4 paper so I can draw it out and mock it up beforehand with paper. I'm going to be using this PU olive coloured fabric that I've got, which will be just right for what I want to do. It'll give it some nice sturdy strength. It won't need lining because it's got this nice sort of backing fabric here, and we want to keep this a simple, easy and quick project. Other things I'm going to need: my rotary cutter. I'm going to need a pen for doing that drawing that we do on the paper. I brought my awl out because I'll be using the tip of this if I need to do any substantial markings anywhere, such as when I go on to put in the snap fastening. So of course I've got a range of fastenings here that I can choose from, and the little tool to get that into place. And then the threads that I'm going to be using, I'm going to use this Orifil, and it is a top stitching thread, really thick. I'm going to use that so the stitching stands out nicely, and a similar colour on the bobbin. And I'm hoping that we're going to have enough there to keep us going. So let's get making. So the first thing that I'm going to do is make a simple pattern. All I'm going to do for that is I'm going to turn my paper landscape, and I've popped this down on top to get an idea of how high it wants to be. So I can see already that I need to remove at least 1 inch of fabric from the top. So I'll do that straight away. So I'll draw my paper piece just there. Now I'm not going to be doing any fancy turnings. This is going to be a simple folded method. So all I need to do is have it 2 widths. So 1 and then once more. So we know that it measures 3.5. So after 7.5 inches, we've got the width that we require. So I'm going to start by cutting that piece of fabric or paper. So I do call it fabric a lot, excuse me, but I am referring it to being paper. And we're just going to cut that all away. And that will then give us our template piece. And I'll give you the measurements of this in just a moment. Sometimes it can be trial and error. So it wants to be 7.25 high by 7.5 wide. Now, of course, we're going to fold this in half widthways. So let's do that now. And then we're going to think about giving this a little bit of shape. Now, I was thinking, although this is all straight edges, I thought it'd be nice to curve the front down a little bit. So all I'm going to do is get a rounded object, which I'll get now. Anything will do. And I'm just going to take a nice little corner off there, like so, and then I'm going to trim that away. So I've taken that top corner off, and now I'm just going to soften this edge here, and I'm going to soften these edges off here. So that's the pair. So it just wants to be a much smaller circle at this point. I'm just going to free draw it, I'm just going to free draw it. That's what I'm going to do. So that just softens the edge, and then I'll do the same on that top edge. So that's that bit there. Just put it away. And that's how that looks. Now I need to decide, do I want to have a fastening that will just clip all the way through, or shall I have a piece of leather that comes up and over? And I think it'd be quite nice to do that. It is Valentine's Day after all. So I'm going to measure now the central point So half of 3 3/4 is 1 and I don't know, I'm not very good. If you're unsure with numbers like I am, don't get in a knot, just fold it in half and just do like a little finger press. Oh look, I was actually spot on, that's typical, isn't it? So that's why it wants to be on the back, and then it will come up and over, and then I will mark, I think, yeah, 1.5 inches down, so centrally 1.5 inches down. So again, just to make sure I'm in the right spot, I'm just going to fold that in half. There we go. So it wants to be there. So we've got a marking here, which is where one of the cam snaps will be, and one here. So that'll be the other cam snap. Then all I need to do is measure out a piece of vinyl that will go up and over. So I did my little fastening piece, and good job we did it in paper because it took 1 go, 2 goes, and then 3 to make sure it was absolutely right. And all I've done is I've laid it over where that back marking would be. So we could either clip that into place, or actually I've decided I'm going to sew it into place because I've got that lovely thread. And then I hold it up and over, and I want to know that it's going to securely go over, not touch, but over that marking there. So now I'm happy with the grand shape of it all. All I need to do is think about where I'm going to start and stop my stitching now. So all I need to do is make a marking on my pattern piece that I need to be sewing from here, the bottom of that curve, and I will be stitching all the way down the outer edge and all at the bottom, like so. So it'll go down and then across here. And if you want to, you can of course stitch up this side too, just to give it a nice bit of definition. That's entirely up to you. So I'm going to cut these pattern pieces out now, and then when I'm ready, I'll get ready to attach my little piece here. So I've now cut my pattern piece out here, and I've also cut out my little strap piece. But now what I need to do is transfer these markings onto the vinyl. The vinyl is the nice side facing upwards, and obviously this is obviously in the reverse at this moment in time. So I'm going to take my awl, and I'm just going to pop a hole through there, and I'll pop a hole through there, so that now I can just transfer it over, and I can just use my awl to poke a hole through so I know where things want to be. I'm not going to be too fierce on the back piece though, because this is actually just telling me where I need to sew more than anything. And we've got 2 small little holes. I'm going to punch all the way through on this one, because that's where the fastening is going to be. And then on this one, I've been too gentle. I'm going to be a little bit more forceful. There we go. That's a decent marking that's been left behind now. So I've now got my 2 markings. Perhaps you can't see, I don't know. There's one all the way through, and then a little one over here just as a bit of an indicator marker. So now all I need to do is take this little piece here, pop it over the marking that was a little bit softer. You can use a little bit of double-sided tape to hold it in place if you wish to do so, but then we're just going to sew a little box square. So now I'm just going to go and get my machine ready. So my machine's all set up, and I've just done a quick check of the stitching on a scrap piece of this leather fabric, mainly because I haven't got a top stitch needle. So I've used a leather needle, so I might run into trouble, but I'm going to go ahead anyway. The test piece was fine, but yeah, I'm going to go in accepting this could go wrong at some point. It's fine. I have popped on here, excuse me while I just check the wording, it's called the Dual Feed Professional Grade Foot HP2. So to remind you, I am using the Memorycraft 9480QC professional machine by Janome, and it has got 2 of these feet, so it's like the integrated walking foots. Not integrated, I didn't mean that. Two walking foots that you can attach on, one being the regular wide one, but this is quite a narrow fitted foot as well. Sorry, this seems to be bouncing a little bit. I've turned my stitch length to 3 for the purposes of sewing this little square on this little fella just here, and I'm just going to start at the top. Okay, so I'm going to lower my foot down. I've put my speed onto the lowest setting as well, and I'm going to use the round dot start stop, which will just give me a little locking stitch. There we go, and now I'm going to start working my way down. I've turned the speed all the way down because I want some precision sewing here. Let's hope I get it. I think the beauty of this, I'm hoping, is going to be about simplicity and very clean stitching. That's my thinking. Let's hope so, eh? I hope he likes it. I really didn't know what to get him this year. There we go. I'll work across. Oh, I might have had one more stitch in that. It'll probably work out that it was half a stitch now, but not to worry. It's got to look handmade, else what's the point? So that's sewn in. Really nice and neat, really pleased with that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the female part into this cam snap area here. So the bit with the point, from the wrong side, we're going to push that all the way through to the right side. And of course we've pre-prepped that little hole that we did with the awl. And the female being this one just here. Oh, there we go. And then just get your little clamp tools, push it all the way through, rest it in the little bed. And that's it. And I might just give that another little squish. I'm always a little bit more cautious with my first squish, but that's the first one in. So now we can move on to sewing the sides together. So if you've got some little clips, you might want to grab them just to hold that in place. So yeah, add this to your little checklist of things that you might need. Give it a few clips all the way around, and then you'll be ready to go. So here we go. So I'm going to start down here, do the start stop again, and then I'm going to work all my way around, and I'm going to start and stop just up here. See how this goes. So we're nearly there. So all I now need to do is get the male part onto here. So I'm just going to hover it over where it feels comfortable, and then I'll get my little awl again to poke a hole through, and then we'll be able to do that final attachment. It's done. So all I got to do now is make sure the glasses fit. Like I say, sometimes when we try these things, they might not be perfect the first time round, but it's about trial and error with everything. I'm not really worrying if it goes wrong. If it's too big, I make it smaller next time, that's all. But the idea here is that it's a personal gift for my husband that I know he will be grateful for. Look at that. Cute little glasses case made in beautiful olive coloured PU fabric that's sewn up a treat. Those top stitches are beautiful. There we go. And I think it's gorgeous. What do you think? I'm happy with it.